Good afternoon, guys. I'm looking forward to our discussion today to find out about how we are all using AI in our communications and marketing work. So, how are you guys today?
Doing well, having fun.
Having fun, learning more every day about the opportunities and the pitfalls. So excited to talk about it.
Well, good. So I have a bunch of questions I want to ask you and want to contribute what I know from my side of things as well. So first of all, let's talk about where AI is. Some people have said to me that they feel like they're already behind. Let's talk about that a little bit. Are people, if you're not already doing something with one of the generative AI tools, is it too late for you?
No. Short answer, no. I'll talk a little bit and then Lisa maybe jump in. I think it's like with a lot of technology, there are people who are sort of early adopters, or a part of their story requires them to be an early adopter. And, sort of more established companies are a little more like, we're going to see how this plays out. But I think it feels like it's definitely something that people should be engaging with, so they have an opinion rather than just relying sort of on stories in the media. But I know Lisa has been playing with it a lot. So
yeah, that's right.
And you're not behind. It's too brand new for you to be behind. And what you're seeing is a lot of people talking about, oh, it can be doing this, it can be doing that, but very few pieces of information as to how you can actually make those things happen. So what we wanted to tell you about today was point you to some places where you're not just going into a generic chatbot, but maybe you're actually doing something with that tool that gives you a little bit of direction.
And I also want to point out, I just wrote a blog post that I'll be putting up on our blog in a little bit. And it's all about different ways that communication teams can start to use generative AI. And I've laid it out kind of in a way that's the real simple, easy to use methods. And then once you get a little comfortable with that, there's some more sophisticated uses of it. So I want you to check that out, because there's some good, easy ways you can get started on it. And for some of the people that we work with that are not in the tech business, maybe they're nonprofit or some other B2C businesses, that makes them feel better to know that there's an easy pathway to start to learn to use it. So let's go in and talk about kind of categories that we found that people are using, and maybe the tools that are there. So the first one, obviously, is for writing. And if anybody's experimented with it at all, they've tried to have one of the tools, such as ChatGPT, create an email for them. Or my son was even using it to do some of his papers in school. So do you want to go through some of the tools, Lisa?
There are three sort of generic tools out there that we would recommend. And of course, the first one is ChatGPT, which we here at Martell affectionately call CHAD for short. And it's a generic first thing that was out there that got everybody really talking about it. There had been other tools before this, but this is the one that actually blew everyone's socks off. It was just amazing as to what it can do. So we would recommend just playing with that, trying different ways of writing. And one of the ways that you might use it is to take your own ideas, maybe take a copy of a blog post that you think needs a little help, or maybe just a bunch of ideas, and ask it to give you a short blog post of so many words, and see what it comes up with, and then play with that and see how far you can get. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And then there are two more that we've been playing with that kind of do different things. And you might want to ask the same questions about your writing or about a blog post, for example, in a couple of the others that have just come out. One is Claude AI, which you can get a free version of. And the other one is, oh my gosh. Perplexity, yeah. Perplexity.
Which is an interesting name.
Yeah, I always want to call it persnickety, but it's
That's funny.
And they all do a little bit different things. They're all use different AI models in the background, and you're going to get different results. So you want to try those.
So
Okay.
I actually had one thought, as people are sort of learning to play with it, and you could say, let me rewrite this blog post. But a big part of what I know the agency talks to people about is really thinking about how you can reuse your content. So would these be good tools maybe to say, take this blog post and turn it into a 6-sentence LinkedIn, like use it to kind of.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So one of the things we always preach to people is, write a piece of content once and then reuse it in multiple different ways. So I have already taken some of our older blog posts that did really well, or some of my published articles, and I've had the generative AI tool rewrite it so I can repost it because it has new information, a new take on it, a fresh look at it. And that's an easy way to start, and then it's not too dangerous. It's not going to hallucinate information from your old post.
Yeah. So we use the word hallucination because in that realm, it just means that the thing lies, makes stuff up, wants to please you. If you want to anthropomorphize it, you can't really trust what it says. So it's better to use your own information to write with, and don't ask it to just write something and then post it, because you're going to really be sorry if you get a lot of lies or blank posts or blank links or other stuff.
Yeah, I was shocked the first time I tested out doing some research, and there were a bunch of links, and I went to each one of the links and they didn't exist.
Right.
It was kind of like, hey, I feel sort of cheated. Like you said this existed, but it really didn't. So
You guys,
it goes without saying, you have to check all the information, verify that it's true.
so there were lawyers in Texas who argued a case in front of a judge, and they had some generative AI write the brief, and it cited cases that did not exist. And so
Oh my gosh.
the hallucination is it's done all in the, AVB with the citations, and you look at it, and from the surface, it seems completely present and real, and then it's not. And so then one of the other things too is if you think about using material that is generated by your company, right? This is our little silo of data, is then you're also mitigating the concern that a generative AI tool is using materials that it doesn't have the rights to, right? That it has been either trained on copyrighted material, or it's searching the web and pulling. And it's kind of like, in any sort of chain of title across, and you need to know where all the pieces come from, so you have confidence in the materials. So for example, everything that Martell has been doing is sort of within the universe of materials you've created, so you own it and you don't have copyright issues.
Right. We'll ask you more lawyer questions coming up.
That's a very good point. But back to the links, we were talking earlier about the differences between some of these more generic ones, and I've noticed that Perplexity actually will give you real links, where ChatGPT often will fake you out. So you don't want to use that.
So what's the difference between Claude and Perplexity, Lisa?
I just think that they are trained on different AI models, and they're newer. And they have different owners and probably have different business plans behind them. So try them out.
Free tools. Okay. So let's say we all know that you can go to Canva and create images. We know that DALL-E exists, another generative AI image generator, which is kind of fun to play with. But I feel like you need to know artistic styles to get it to really give you something that's worthwhile. But Lisa, you said you came across a great way to create headshots. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, a lot of people are probably already familiar with Canva, but it has a magic editor that can help you create a headshot. So for example, if you have a very nice, or even not so nice, picture that you've just taken of a selfie, you can use its magic things to help you create a headshot that's appropriate for like a LinkedIn. For example, maybe the expression on your face is really nice, or your hair is nice, the background's not right, so you could take that out. But it also allows you to try on different things. Say,
Change your clothes.
Yeah, you can wear, if you're wearing a sundress, maybe you want to wear a suit. And so you try on different things and then tell it, yes, that's what I want to be wearing in my headshot. And I'll put it on my social media, identifier or something like that. So yeah, and it is free because Canva can be free, and you can use it with your Canva free account.
Oh, that's
I wouldn't
exciting.
use the stuff that you pay for unless you just want to have fun. They'll give you like 90 headshots for $17 or $30, but they're often
Wow.
don't look like you.
Yeah.
And they often have a lot of distortions. I wouldn't recommend them right now unless you want to play.
That's good. That's good. Now, we had a client that said that he was trying out generative AI to create videos. And it's kind of a fascinating thought that you could ask a tool to just create a video for you. But Lisa, you did some exploring on that too. Tell us about what you found with Flicky.
Yeah, they're calling it Fleeky, and I just found it yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah. And it will take a script that you have or a blog post or just an idea. Say, I was talking to it yesterday about the fact that we were going to do this discussion today, a webinar. So I told it to create, with my short description of this webinar, a promotional video. And it did a fabulous job of 40 seconds of a promo. And it actually chose pictures and video snippets that it thought would go with the keywords that it was seeing in my description of what this webinar would be. And
it wrote a script and it found all the images and strung it all together as a video.
it did.
With very little description from you?
Yeah, no description from me, just the description of what we were going to talk about today. And then it said, well, I'm choosing this picture. If you don't think it fits, click again and I'll give you something else. And, it takes you through a few, and they're like, that's good enough, and also the voiceover is it's computer generated, but it doesn't sound like a robot. And you have your choice of voices, and it could be in different accents or different languages, or it could be
Tell
a
me,
man,
did you
woman,
choose
a
a
kid.
Midwestern accent, or what kind of accent?
Yeah, you can choose things. It can, one of the descriptions might be sexy Australian guy. I don't know, you should look, but it's fun. It's fun. And also the tone. Should it be promotional? Should it be emotional? Should it be sad, happy? And a lot of these things are free, and it's free. Yeah.
That's excellent.
You can certainly go higher if you want and actually pay something, but you get a lot for free.
Yeah. Okay. That's excellent. Can't wait to try that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay. So one of the things in our business of communicating, obviously we write bios for spokespeople. We do a lot of blogging. There's pitching to press when there's announcements or big pieces of news. And the pitching part is interesting because that's really the black magic in the PR world. And that's where all the intelligence we know about various editors and publications, we mix that with what we know about the client's news, and it becomes this really customized, work. But now you found a tool that will help you do that pitching.
Yeah.
And tell me about that. Profit AI?
It's worth a try. It is called Profit AI, and it does a couple of things for free. The first, it will take your LinkedIn bio and turn it into a proper bio. The second thing it might do is you give it some information about what you do. It'll write you a blog post, and it'll also write a pitch to press about what you're doing, depending on, what kind of input that you give it. Is it any good? It could be. One of the things it does is help you it helps you focus on what press might be interested in. It also pretends to give you a list of editors that are going to be interested. Without you will have to do the work. If you can have the free version, you're going to have to do the work to find who these people are.
Okay, yeah.
It'll give you a list of podcasts and a list of maybe magazine and newspaper editors who will be interested, and it'll give you a percentage of how much they were going to be interested in your particular area. So we put in a modeling agency we know that promotes
Women over 50?
Women over 50, and made up a case of what they might be doing. In this case, I said that this modeling agency would be doing some work for Canyon Ranch. And I put that in as a pitch, and it gave me all these people that I could contact who may be interested in interviewing the person, you know, who was pitching, and maybe even making them a guest on the podcast. So, you know, it's worth a try to get you in the habit of kind of honing your message, whether you can actually do the pitching yourself and whether you can find all these people in the media. Well, good luck, but it's a start. And maybe you want to take that pitch and use it in your local area, or your area of maybe some people who you do know.
Right.
Well, so I had a question about that, because one of the questions sometimes with, you know, the learning models or whatever is that it's fixed in a point in time. Right. So the information is accurate, whatever, up until some point in time. So I'm wondering if vendors who are doing these kinds of things are saying things like, we update our editor list, you know, that vibe, because if it's 3 years old, that's super not helpful information.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So I wonder, because that'll be a concern broadly, is, you know, we all, you know, are used to searching Google or some search engine, and it's up to the moment with what it's searching. And that's been kind of one of the shifts is, you know, sort of locks a database in some fashion.
Well,
right?
I think we need to look at that a little bit further, because when you create a custom app using the open AI large language model, you can feed it some up-to-date information. So that's probably what's happening to make it more current, I would guess.
Yes, that's true. And the newer ones that I talked about are more up to date than the Chat GPT. But again, we're not suggesting that you use these for research so much.
Right.
More like something as an assistant to help you get going. And, you know, another area we didn't talk about that they're really good for are just brainstorming, just kind of having conversation and thinking about things to write about, or maybe some ideas to promote your business.
Well, Amanda, our writer, says she's been using a lot more to do that initial brainstorming, maybe research on what terms mean, you know, something that is not updated, and just finds it kind of exciting to use that as a little bit of an extra tool for her.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Michele, bring us down to reality. What do we have to worry about in terms of data privacy and security and infringements and copyrights and all of those things?
Yeah, so those are some of the main areas, really, and it kind of comes back to the core idea, which is what information is being drawn upon, right? And did they, whatever the entity is that has the AI software, do they have the rights to those things? And those can both be intellectual property rights and data privacy rights. So, for example, we've seen, you know, Getty Images fire off lawsuits saying, you have scraped our proprietary database for your images because, in fact, our Getty watermark shows up in results. We can see it because it's our watermark on there. You don't even try to take the watermark out. So you're literally stealing the thing that gives us revenue in the world. So you're violating our copyright. So there's copyright issues. There's definitely data privacy issues. So, for example, if it's based in any way on information about people, you know, did the chain of software entities have a right to use people's information? So I actually just saw an article today about employers who maybe want to create a custom AI around employee XYZ, but employee data is often protected and in various places. And so what is interesting is there's a lot of conversation around, intellectual property and can you register a copyright in the name of AI? And that's all in the land of like highfalutin lawyer, writing articles. But in the land of right now, people are doing agreements. They're entering into licensing agreements with software or doing things. So in a transactional right now world, if you're starting to use AI, and let's say you're working with some third party, whether you're negotiating it or you're looking at their website, at their information and policies, is what are they telling me about where the information is coming from if it's not coming from me? What are the rules around if I input information into this system, does this third party now get rights to my information?
Oh.
Does it have rights to the information that is being generated? So for example, if I'm a company and I have trade secrets, I obviously don't want my trade secret information to go into the open pot for everybody to be learning on, right? So just practical considerations. And like you guys are really reinforcing, the danger is in taking some generative AI product and not thinking about it and just releasing it. You have no idea, like in that cute video, if they're saying we're using images that we have rights to, then you feel comfortable. But otherwise, you're like, I'm making a marketing campaign based on AI, but I don't know that I have the rights to the image or to the content or the copy. So all of these big issues are sort of getting worked out, but at a baseline thing, you're really just looking at, how trustworthy is this? What do I feel about the database I have access to? What happens to my information? Where does it go from here and who has rights to it? And then thinking internally, if it's anything that has, any kind of data privacy or confidentiality around it, you would have concerns around that. So more like red flags, you're looking for those flags and then managing how you play in this space.
Right. So lots to consider. And I know this is going to be an ongoing question. Companies will need to really pay attention to what's happening, and it's not over yet, basically. So let's recap what we learned is that there are a number of free tools out there that anyone can use, whether you're a solopreneur or you work inside a big company or even a startup, to help you do some basic writing, to help you do some headshots, to do even promotional videos, and maybe to repurpose a blog that you have or a bio or do a pitch to an editor. So lots of exciting tools out there. Do you want to do a recap, Lisa, from your own point of view?
Yeah, and I think that everything you said was right on. What I would also say is that we're constantly finding new ones, and we're going to do this again and tell you about some new things that we found. And I imagine that every week there will be new and different tools out there as people get the idea that they may want to make some money on some of these pointed tools. Yeah.
That's good. And Michele?
Well, first of all, I'm going to go do the magic Canva thing, and I want to do the flicky AI because that sounds fun. But speaking as somebody who, I sort of get deeply skeptical and resistant every time I read some hypey article about how AI is going to change the things, especially for people whose, your product are words. And so therefore, who needs your brain? And what I am seeing and starting to see as we kind of play with this is that to be deeply resistant is like to resist the world that we're in, but also to really come into it, not taking everything for granted, not believing the overhype, but understanding that this has real limitations and risks, but also there's stuff that you can be doing and figuring out where the value proposition is without completely drinking the Kool-Aid.
Right. Very good. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining us on Talking Points. And we hope to get together with you again in the future to go through some more exciting news in the world of marketing and communications. Thanks.